I'm joined by Iowa Republican Senator Chuck Grassley, the ranking Republican on the Finance Committee. You'll be hearing today from the Treasury Secretary about this bank tax. Let me get, first of all, your sense of where this thing is headed. Is this something you support at this moment, and do you expect it to happen this year?
I don't support it now. Maybe in 3 years from now it could be supported, because you see the theory of getting back the TARP money, the bailout money, is at the end of 5 years, if it's not paid back, then we would figure out how to get it, and a bank tax would be a perfect way to do it. But right now, you don't know exactly what that is. So I see it as an effort just to bring more revenue into the federal Treasury. And if you're going to have a bank tax, I want assurances from the Secretary of Treasury this morning that it's going to be to pay down to the debt, that it's not going to be used just to spend more money.
Senator, certainly you support the idea of taxpayers repaid. Why not speed it up and do it sooner rather than later? Nothing in the TARP legislation to prevent it, as I understand it.
Because we really don't know what's going to be paid back. If you were interviewing me 12 months ago, we'd say that we probably would only lose 300 to 400 billion of the 700 billion. Now it's down to a point where the Congressional Budget Office says it's more like 110 billion, maybe 89 billion. And another reason is, of that 89 billion, about 30 billion of it went to General Motors. You wouldn't expect banks and their customers to pay for the bailout of General Motors. Wouldn't you think that that tax would go against General Motors if you were going to get the money back?
You think the automakers should take a hit on this as well?
Well, of course. But first of all, I think it's a question, should it be done now or 3 years from now? Because as we've learned over the last 12 months, there's going to be less loss of TARP money than we originally expected. And so we need to have an accounting of what that is and level the tax according to the exact amount of money that ought to come back. Otherwise, if it's being done right now, then I have the fear that it's not going to be used to pay back TARP money. It's just going to be mixed up with every other dollar in the federal treasury and just lead to more spending. And you know, when you bring a dollar more in here, it's really a license for Congress to spend about $1.15. It doesn't always go to the bottom line and reduce the deficit.
Do you expect the Democrats to try and attach this bank tax to the regulatory reform bill on the floor, and would you oppose that as well?
Yeah, I would oppose it, and I think we'd have other Democrats that oppose it. I think the leadership of the Senate Finance Committee, we feel that this is in the jurisdiction of the Finance Committee, and banking people shouldn't be messing with our jurisdiction. And if they were to do that, I think then we would lose control of the money to pay down the national debt, as opposed to just more money to be spent. You know, taxes, if they're going to come in and they supposedly are to cover losses, then that's against the debt. And I see this as a license to spend more money, and that's another reason for opposing it.
Let me just get you finally on the regulatory reform bill. You did support, coming out of the Agriculture Committee, the derivatives title of this legislation. Are you going to be prepared to back this whole bill on the floor? Can you support it in its current form?
In its current form, no, but I think there will be changes. There's several things. Freddie and Fannie not being covered. The $50 billion bailout fund is moral hazard. That's not good. And we don't have enough transparency and protection of whistleblowers. But the part of it that there's going to be transparency of derivatives that you said I voted for, and I did vote for it, I think it's very important that that be left in the bill, because there was no regulation of derivatives, and we need that regulation to protect Main Street.
All right, Senator Chuck Grassley, top Republican on the Finance Committee, going to be here on Capitol Hill listening to Treasury Secretary guidance.